They looked perfect together. Emily and Jacob. She was the kind of girl people noticed instantly, laughter that filled the room, eyes full of spark, and the kind of confidence that made even silence feel like music. He was tall, quiet, handsome, all sharp jawlines and soft smiles, the kind of guy who made girls blush without saying a word. And then there was me. I was the best friend, the safe one, the secret keeper, the girl who smiled from the sidelines and clapped the loudest when they kissed. But inside, I was drowning in a truth I'd never spoken aloud. I was in love with my best friend's boyfriend. How it started, it wasn't supposed to be like that. Jacob had walked into our lives last summer, transferred from another college after something vague involving his father's health. Emily met him at a campus mixer.by week 2. They were dating.by week 3. I was invited to third wheel dinners and group study nights, just the three of us, and by week 4, I realized I was falling for him. Not just he's cute falling, real falling, the kind where you memorize someone's laugh, where your chest aches when they look at someone else. But I said nothing, because Emily was my best friend, and he was hers. The night everything changed, it was a Friday night in October. Emily had gone home for the weekend, some family emergency with her sister. She asked me to keep an eye on Jacob. Just checking on him, she texted. He doesn't say it, but he hates being alone. So I did. I showed up at his apartment with 2 coffees and no plan. He opened the door in sweatpants, looking like sleep and stress had tag-teamed him all day. "You're a lifesaver," he said, taking the coffee and giving me a smile that made my knees feel like jelly. We sat on the couch, talked, laughed. For hours. There was a moment, somewhere between stories and silence, when our eyes locked and neither of us looked away. I should have left then, but I didn't. That almost kissed power went out, typical campus grid. We lit candles, talked about ghosts, then suddenly, it was quiet, just us. He looked at me, eyes soft, curious, almost searching. "You're not like other people," he said. "With you, I don't have to pretend." "Pretend what?" "That I'm okay." His hand brushed mine, and then he leaned in, my breath caught. Our faces were inches apart. Then he stopped. "We can't," he whispered. I nodded, heart racing. "I know." But the air between us had already changed. The line had been drawn and crossed, even if our lips never touched. I left, and told myself it was nothing. Emily's return, she came back Sunday, smiling, radiant, oblivious. She hugged me. "Thanks for checking in on Jacob. You're the best." And I felt like the worst, but Jacob acted normal. Maybe it had been in my head, until the text started. His messages: "Jacob, you okay?" "Me? Yeah. Why?" "Jacob, you left fast. I just wanted to make sure I didn't scare you." "Me? You didn't, Jacob." I think about that night a lot. I stared at the screen, fingers trembling. Was this happening? The dream and the daggery began to dream about him, about what it would feel like to be chosen, to be loved the way Emily was loved. But every time I woke up, guilt hit like a freight train. He was hers, until one day, he wasn't. The twist begins to. Weeks later, Emily called me crying. "I think Jacob's lying to me." "About what?" "I don't know. Something feels off. He's distant, secretive. I think he's hiding something." My stomach turned, but before I could respond, she dropped a bomb. I looked through his drawer. There's a box with photos of girls, not just me, including, she paused, "including you." Emily's voice cracked on the phone. "There were pictures of other girls, but the one of you was different." "Different how?" I whispered. "It wasn't recent. It was from high school." "What? And you were with your ex-boyfriend?" My stomach dropped. That photo shouldn't exist. It was years ago, before college, before Emily, before Jacob. So how did he have it? The confrontation next day, I went to Jacob's apartment. He opened the door like nothing had changed. "Hey," he smiled, like we were still in that moment between candles and silence. "We need to talk," I said. He froze for a second, then stepped aside. Inside, the apartment felt colder, quieter, like it knew something I didn't. What's going on? He asked. Emily found the box. His expression didn't change, no fear, no surprise. And why do you have pictures of me from before we even met? He paused, then spoke, calm as ever. Because I've known you longer than you think. The revelation I went to your high school. You just didn't notice me. You were different back then. Always in the background. Quiet. Kind. So you stalked me? No, I watched you. There's a difference. Not really. He walked to the cabinet and pulled out the box. Inside were dozens of photos. Some of Emily. Some of me. One of me crying at my father's funeral. One of me laughing in a diner taken from outside the window. How did you even take these? I was drawn to you, Olivia. Before I met Emily, it was you. It's always been you. My heart pounded. So you dated her. Why? Because you were never available. Always hiding. Emily was the shortcut. To you, the obsessione step back, breath shallow. You used her. I never meant to hurt her, he said. But you were the one I needed to understand. And now I do. He stepped closer. We're the same, Olivia. You've always hidden your truth. Just like me. You don't know anything about me. I know you were falling for me that night. Silence. I felt it. You felt it. It's real. And now that Emily's out of the way, she's already doubting everything. It won't take much. His voice was calm, chilling. The escapé turned and left. He didn't try to stop me. But as I drove, I kept looking in the rearview mirror, certain he'd follow. He didn't. Not that day. But the next morning, I woke up to a message from a blocked number. Choose wisely. Hearts break easily. Minds take longer. Emily's breakdown later that day. I found Emily sitting outside her dorm, knees pulled to her chest. She looked broken. He told me you came onto him, she said quietly. What? He said you kissed him, that you've been in love with him for months. I froze. Did you? I couldn't lie. No, but I almost did. She stared at me for a long time, then got up and walked away. Alone, Agayini sat in silence for hours, feeling the weight of betrayal, not just his, but mine too. I should have stopped everything before it started, but now it was too late. Jacob had burned bridges I couldn't rebuild, and somehow, I wasn't sure I'd seen the worst of him yet. I wanted to believe it was over, that I could just walk away from Jacob and from the chaos he'd caused between me and Emily. But some people don't let go. They unpeel you. They get under your skin and stay there. The email set started with an email.no sender. No subject, just an attachment. I hesitated before clicking. It was a video. Low res. Security footage. From a coffee shop. I was in it. So was Emily. And in the background, seated 3 tables behind us, Jacob, watching. He never spoke, never moved, just watched. The timestamp? 9 months before Emily met him. Patterns in the silence. She started looking back. Photos on Instagram. Old group shots. Zooming in. Enhancing. He was there, always in the background, not just around me, around other girls too. I found a blog from a girl named Ray at his old college. She hadn't posted in years, but her last entry chilled me. If anything happens to me, check the cameras. He always watches before he moves. That blog was dated 2 months before Jacob transferred to our school, confronting the past he called the college. Posed as a student journalist. Asked about Ray. They told me she dropped out. No explanation. No forwarding info. Just gone. I dug deeper. Found her mom's Facebook. She'd posted once a candle emoji and the word justice. The comments were turned off. I messaged her. No response. Emily stopped answering my texts. I don't blame her. I had betrayed her trust, even if only in thought. But now I was scared for her, because I knew Jacob wasn't done. Not with her. Not with me. Maybe not with anyone. The return all night. Just after I woke up to a noise. My bedroom window was open. I never leave it open. A note sat on my desk, written on yellow-lined paper, the kind Jacob always used in class. It said, "You're not as different from me as you think." There was no signature, but there didn't have to be. The mask falls next morning. I found out Emily had gone missing. She hadn't been to class, hadn't posted, hadn't called her parents. The last text she sent anyone? Me. You were right. That's all it said. And then, nothing. The police don't Listini went to the campus police, told them everything. The photos, the box, the tracking. They smiled politely, took a statement, said they'd look into it, but their eyes said crazy girl with a crush.so. I went back to Jacob's apartment myself. Inside the apartment the door was unlocked. The lights were off. The air felt wrong. Like the moment before a storm, I crept inside, room by room, and in the back closet, behind a stack of boxes, I found a file, not just on Emily, but on 5 other girls. Photos, notes, maps. Some were crossed out with red ink. Only one remained uncrossed. Emmy. The room was ice cold. My fingers trembled as I held the folder filled with photos, timelines, maps, even journal entries. Each girl had a name, a face, a story. 5 of them were crossed out in red ink. Only one wasn't. Me. The way you'd circle a date on a calendar. The pattern: each girl had been close to someone else Jacob was dating, not the main target. A friend, a roommate, a classmate, always the one in the background. He'd use charm, vulnerability, secrets. Then slowly, one by one, they disappeared. Some changed schools, some dropped off social media, and one Ray was listed as missing. He watches before he moves. That blog entry echoed in my mind. I wasn't paranoid. I was next. Searching for Emily. Called her again. Straight to voicemail. I texted. No reply. Then I remembered. Emily used to share her location with me. A stupid habit we picked up during freshman bar crawls. I checked the app. One pin. Just outside town. An old motel. The motel, it looked abandoned. Curtains torn. Paint peeling. No front desk. Emily's phone pinged from room 9. I knocked. Nothing. Pushed. The door. Unlocked. The room was empty. Mattress flipped. Bags gone. But something lay on the bed. A photo of me and Emily. Taken at a party last year. Someone had drawn a red line between us, cutting straight through our joined hands. Written underneath in pen. One of you always breaks. I backed out of the room, my breath shaky, and then I heard it. His voice. I hoped you'd come. Face to face. Jacob stood at the end of the corridor, hoodie half zipped, eyes calm, almost tired. Where is she? I demanded. Safe. He said. She wasn't the one I wanted. You planned this. I studied you, he said. You always felt invisible, like you had to be the good girl, the supportive one. But I saw through it. I knew there was something dark under all that sweetness. You're sick. No, he said. I'm honest. I never lied about how I felt. I just didn't follow the script. The choice pulled something from his jacket. A phone. Emily's. She's fine. For now. If you heard her, I didn't. You did. You chose to feel something for me the moment we met. Don't pretend you didn't. I wanted to scream, to hit him, but I couldn't move. He stepped closer. I'm giving you a chance. One chance. Walk away. Forget this, and you'll never hear from me again. And Emily? She walks. 2. We both vanish. Clean. No more games. I stared at him. Every nerve in my body burnt. And then I made a decision I hadn't planned. The setup okay. I said, you win. Good. He whispered. Almost proud. But what Jacob didn't know what I'd done before coming was call Emily's brother, a cop, who'd been tracking Jacob's real identity. The motel was already surrounded. The arrest. The moment I stepped outside. Sirens wailed. Jacob bolted, but not fast enough. They tackled him near the parking lot. I stood frozen, watching him get cuffed, his eyes locked on mine. No panic, just one word on his lips. Coward. Emily found. He found Emily locked in a nearby maintenance closet, shaken but alive. She cried in my arms. I thought I was going to die. You won't, I whispered. Not while I'm breathing. We stayed in that motel hallway for hours. Neither of us said much. There was nothing left to say. They say after the storm comes the calm, But no one talks about the silence after trauma, after betrayal, after watching the person you once thought you loved get dragged away in handcuffs. That's the part that lingers. The Fallujah's arrest made headlines. It turned out his real name wasn't even Jacob. It was Daniel Shaw. He'd been using aliases for years, bouncing between colleges, building fake lives, targeting women like Emily. And girls like me. There were restraining orders into states. One girl was still missing. Another had checked into a psychiatric facility after he emotionally shattered her. And me? I was left to pick up the pieces of everything he broke, especially my friendship with Emily. Emily's distancias didn't talk to me for weeks. Not out of anger, but out of exhaustion. We'd both survived something twisted. And survival changes people. When she finally called, her voice was flat, but clear. I'm not mad at you anymore, but I'm not the same either. I know, I said. We both fell for someone who never really existed. And that was the truth. The therapy sessions he started therapy, talked about guilt, about boundaries, about how people like Jacob Daniel don't just manipulate emotions. They hunt vulnerability, and how sometimes love is just an illusion, carefully curated by someone who wants control. The last letter on morning, a letter arrived in the mail. No return address. No stamp. Just my name. In handwriting I'd know anywhere. Inside a single page. They'll say I hurt you, that I preyed on you. But the truth is, you were the first person who ever saw me, the real me, and you still turned away. So maybe the monster they talk about, it was you all along. I burned it. And I didn't cry. Not anymore. Healing slowly. Emily transferred schools the next semester. We message sometimes. Birthday texts, holiday memes. That's it. But the deep friendship we had, it died in that motel hallway. Some things don't survive lies. Even when you both meant well. Moving forward, you don't trust easily anymore. But I've learned to trust myself. I no longer shrink to keep someone else comfortable. I no longer confuse obsession with affection. And I know now, loving someone silently, secretly doesn't make you a villain. But choosing your peace over your guilt, that makes you free.